Hello and welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. I'm Graham Hughes. It is Friday, the 4th of October 2024. Hello to everyone in the chat. If you would like to join us in the chat, just subscribe. That's all you need to do. Just subscribe to the channel and then wait 30 seconds and then you can join in with the people on the side here. Just a big shout out to Plum Duff in the chat there. We've also got Peter Music and Jup James. We've also got Sarah Davis in there. We've got Brighton and Hove, actually. We've got Ivan Ambrose. Hi, Ivan. We've got Vendetta Veg Pie, Jan Wallace, Gareth T, Anthony Fisher, Roger Haslock, Martin Harrow, Lofty the Softy, David Alvone, and Alan Walker, Our Life, My Life. Simon Smith is in there as well. Hello, everybody. Today, I am annoyed. As my erstwhile Australian girlfriend would say, I'm effing ropeable. I don't really know what that meant, but it usually preceded her being very angry. She'd also talk about cracking the shits. And that was a bad thing. To me, cracking the shits meant you had a problem with the downstairs area after eating a particularly spicy vindaloo. But no, it just meant you getting very, very angry. I'm very, very, very angry with Labour today. I'm very angry with Ed Miliband. I wonder if you had 1,000 Ed Milibands, it would make a Ed band. Okay, I won't try that material this early in the morning. Ed Miliband, Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer all standing behind this pledge to put 22 billion of our pounds into a scam, into a pyramid scheme, NFTs, Hyperloop, a monorail. Basically, they're spending 22 billion of our pounds on a freaking monorail. Let me explain. Carbon capture technology is bullshit, okay? Just please, if anyone wants to argue with me on this, just maybe later or something, because I'm not going to get into a debate about this. It just is, okay? It is bullshit. I'll tell you why it's bullshit. I'm just not going to debate it, okay? Here's why it's bullshit. So the first problem with carbon capture technology is that it's a distraction from the real solution. So this 22 billion pounds, right, that they're going to spend will get rid of 8.5 million tonnes of CO2, maybe, if it works. We'll come to that later, per year. Do you know how much CO2 we put out as a country? 400 million tonnes of CO2. That is a drop in the ocean. That is just over 2% of our carbon emissions. 2%. I've got an idea. Why don't we stop pumping carbon into the atmosphere? Just using it. Just stop burning carbon fuel. I know that might sound crazy, but I can guarantee for less than 22 billion, we could invest in more wind energy. We could invest in tidal energy if we need to. I don't know if that works, but, solar energy, hydroelectric, even nuclear. I would rather they spend this money on a nuclear power plant, which could take away more than 8.5 million tonnes of carbon from our output. Oh my God. How have they... Well, I know what's happened. They've been got at by the fossil fuel industry, which is very, very big and very, very, very powerful. This is why you see such bullshit as the day after the last coal-fired power plant shuts down, our fuel bills go up by 10%. Who do you think organised that? Do you know what I mean? That didn't happen by chance. That wasn't a fun little coincidence. That was so they make this connection. They put this connection in people's heads between, we stopped burning coal, and then the next day, our energy bills went up. No mention of the fact that the only reason we're paying so much for our energy is that we pay for the maximum, that we pay for the most expensive commodity, making our energy, right? We pay for that level. So even though it costs a fraction of the price to make electricity using solar or wind power in this country, doesn't matter. The unit price of the electricity is set by gas, set by a fossil fuel that's really expensive. It's only got more expensive since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It's an unstable, inefficient, ridiculous system. But yeah, fossil fuels, fossil fuel companies are using carbon capture solutions as a way of basically continuing their reign of terror over the world, continuing burning hydrocarbons. That's all they want to do. They want to keep burning it, keep making money so they can line their swimming pools with gold and then fill them with blood money. Basically, the carbon capture doesn't address the cause of the emissions, and it only takes a fraction of the emissions. So if you carbon capture from a, let's say, oil refinery, okay, so one of these carbon capture places is going to be on the Mersey. It's going to be in Liverpool. So I'm assuming they're going to take some carbon from Ellesmere Port, where there's a massive oil refinery, right? Okay, no. So you're going to capture the CO2 from the oil refinery. Okay, are you going to capture the CO2 from the pumping station in the middle of the North Sea? Are you going to? But hang on, we don't get most of our oil from there. We get most of our oil, don't we, from like the Middle East and stuff? Or we get a lot from Norway. We get a lot from Libya, funnily enough. We get some from Angola. We get stuff from Nigeria. We get stuff from all over the place. Do you think that that's carbon captured at the point of them pumping it out the ground? Because that takes a lot of energy to pump it out the ground. And they use fossil fuels to fuel that energy. You know, these oil platforms aren't wind powered. They're not. And then they put on a ship which uses bunker oil to make it go. Uses an Olympic swimming pool worth of bunker oil to get from Nigeria to here. An Olympic-sized swimming pool of oil, at least. Like, oh my God, that is just what? And it's the dirtiest oil you can possibly imagine. It's bunker oil. You know when you talk about crude oil? Yeah, bunker oil is basically crude oil. Like, it's horrible. And what they do is they spin it on the ship themselves using more energy, which they create using, again, fossil fuels. And then they dump the heavy stuff that they can't use in the engine. They dump it off the ship in international waters. It goes into the water, poison into the water. Then it gets to Ellesmere Port on the ship, and then I assume it gets refined there. Sorry, it does get refined there, but I assume they capture some of the carbon in that part of the process. But then it goes off to, you know, petrol stations, get into the petrol station, uses energy. Those big tankers are fueled by diesel. They're not fueled. They're not. I can guarantee this. They're not electric. Despite what Elon Musk would have you believe, they're not electric. There's no electric trucks. They're too heavy at the moment. They just don't work. So you get it from the refinery. You take it all the way to, I don't know, County Durham. Trundle along the M62, up the A1M, and then you pump it into the ground, into a big tank, which also uses energy. And then someone has to drive their petrol car to that place, to that petrol station. They're not capturing the carbon. The petrol station's not capturing the carbon. And then you put it in the car and you burn the fucking thing. You burn it. No one's capturing that carbon. There's a big balloon on the back of your car. You know, you just plug it in and there's balloons hanging off the back of the car. What? No one's capturing that carbon. This is like a minute proportion of the actual cycle of hydrocarbons like that we're trying to capture here. And as a percentage of our national output of carbon dioxide, which is destroying the environment, it's making places like Asheville in North Carolina unlivable. It's 300 miles on the freaking coast. They just hit by a hurricane. Up in the mountains, hit by a hurricane because of climate change. Not to mention the fact that 22 billion is a lot to be spending on a technology that is grossly inefficient. It's expensive and inefficient, which is why the fossil fuel companies love it so much. Because, okay, what do you do with this carbon? You've got this carbon, right, that you've managed to get. You've sourced it from the refinery at Ellesmere Port, and we're going to put it under the Mersey River. We're going to put it like out in the estuary, under the rock, and where it will stay forever. Will it? Look it up. It's carbon capture. Norway. Both times they tried it, the gas escaped. Because you know what? It's a gas. And it's really, really hard to tell what's under the sea, especially if it's a couple of kilometres down. And I know we've got scanning technology, that's better than ever before, but it still means that you sometimes find layers of rock that you never knew was there. Or layers of mud, or layers of porous rock that you didn't realise had lots of little holes in it, and that was going to be the cap for your carbon storage under the ground, under the sea, and all of the gas, because it's a gas, manages to percolate up through the sea, into the sea, acidifying the sea, and then going up into the atmosphere once the bubbles hit the bloody surface of the water. Hey, look, I'm not a physicist. I'm not a biologist. I'm not a chemist. But like, that looks so self-evident to me. The technology is fundamentally flawed from the get-go, and it has inherent risks that make it absolutely 100% unfit to be a cornerstone of the UK's climate change policy. Unless the policy is to create more climate change. I don't know. I don't know at this point. I'm just too pissed off. I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing, Labour? Seriously, what are you doing? This is nonsense. You're spending 22 billion of our pounds on a freaking monorail. And the town is burning down. Literally burning down, being buried under a mudslide, being flooded. And you going, oh, no, we've got a nice fancy monorail. Look at it. We've shined it up. It looks like a bullet from the future. Up in the sky on a concrete pillar. Ooh, look at that. Jesus wept. Again, climate change activists will tell you this. Friends of the Earth, Greenpeace, I've been saying this for years. All carbon capture technology does is prop up the fossil fuel industry. That's the only reason. There's so much money behind it. And it's a scam. It's a freaking con. And it's not a viable long-term solution. It is a dangerous, expensive gamble, which we are bound to lose. We are not going to win this one. Because the amount of CO2 that we are pumping as a world into the atmosphere, all of the carbon capture technology that's been put into place so far has managed to capture less than 0.1% of it. But you know what's gone the other way? You know what's actually stopped us from having to burn coal to make energy? Green solutions. Wind power. We can harness some amazing wind power here in the UK. We have some of the windiest seas in the world, as anyone who's ever taken the ferry over to Douglas in the Isle of Man on a windy day will tell you. It's bloody windy out there in the seas around our country and on top of hills. Anyone who's bothered climbing a hill in this country will know it's bloody windy up there. Put wind turbines up there. I don't care about the view at the moment because I'd rather have a view of a nice wind turbine on the top of a hill than miles away, or even closer, as long as I don't have to hear it, because they're quite noisy. But I'd rather have that than the post-apocalyptic future that the climate, what would you call them? The climate terrorists that run all the big oil companies in the world are carrying out. It's a climate. Carbon storage is it's a false pretense from the start, and I cannot believe that the people in Labour are falling for it, have fallen for it, hook, line and stinker, and we're going to have to pay for it. We're going to have to pay for their stupidity. They've just believed a stupid meme on Facebook about hydrogen cars. That just, there's only water comes out of a hydrogen car, says the fossil fuel companies, because they want us to continue to burn fossil fuels to make hydrogen. Hydrogen, every single project that has involved hydrogen since the goddamn Hindenburg has been a disaster. And nothing will ever change that. Because to make the kind of the kind of hydrogen that we require in order to, go down the route of hydrogen-based systems, requires us to burn a shitload more carbon than it would to just, burn the carbon and make electricity directly, and then pump that electricity into the electric cables that go around the country. It's the most inefficient way of using energy that anyone's ever come up with so far. By contrast, solar and hydroelectric and wind power is like so much more efficient. It's painful. You think about the efficiency of an electric turbine, one turbine that pumps electricity from it directly into your car. Just imagine that. I know it's a bit more complicated than that, but effectively, at the speed of light. There you go. That seems pretty efficient to me. We're not like capturing, we're not getting water and then using lots of fossil-made electricity to split it into hydrogen, and then we're storing the hydrogen. And obviously hydrogen is a gas and it needs to be stored at a very, very, very low temperature, which takes a lot of energy. And where does that energy come from? Oil, gas, coal. Yeah. Keep those fossil fuel bastards in their blood-soaked living rooms, watching their massive 97 feet wide television for the rest of their lives, sitting on their gold thrones, propping their feet up on the skulls of the small children of the Niger Delta who they murdered in order to get their gooey black stuff out from under the ground. Nihilist or optimistic nihilist. Thank you very much. Do you pronounce it nihilist or nihilist? I say nihilist, but I might be wrong. It has happened. It has been known. Whether Labour intended it or not, the system of billionaire interests have captured and sublimated them. Unless there is systematic change, whoever wins the election, we the people always lose. You know, there's been some really great strides in the right direction. I really agree with Great British Power. I agree with lifting the ban on onshore wind. I mean, that was just ridiculous. I mean, wind turbines, not just wind. We're going to ban the wind. Take that, wind. But yeah, you're right. This is a huge, monumental step in the wrong direction. It is just sucking up to the hydroelectric carbon change people who want to destroy the planet. Right, what else? Phil says the planet is totally effed. Well, it's not totally effed. It's just a bit effed. But the problem is that the people who go, oh, don't worry about it, you just buy more beachfront property, don't get it. They just don't get it. They just don't get that, yeah, there's floods in Lincoln. They don't get that there's a hurricane that's just hit Asheville in North Carolina. They don't get that cities are going underwater away from the coast. You know, it's not just goes, oh, it's fine, I don't live in Florida, I'll be all right. No. No one is going to escape this. And I'll remind people time and time again, if we mess up what we like to call the Gulf Stream, and I know it's got a more technical name than that, but let's just call it the Gulf Stream for now, you know, to keep everyone on board. If we mess up the Gulf Stream, we don't get that hot air and hot water coming, or warm air and warm water coming from the Gulf of Mexico. What that means is that we are going to learn very, very quickly that we are actually on the same line of latitude as Lake freaking Baikal in Siberia. Do you enjoy having very, very cold winters, like minus 30, minus 40? Yeah? Do you? Have you ever experienced one of them? No? Okay. Anyway, right, interface hydrogen, it's only by trying to learn. It could get to the point where it's efficient, but we need to accept it's not there yet. Yeah, Michael, no, I'm sorry, mate. It's bullshit. It's been bullshit now for 50 years. All my life, all I've heard about hydrogen is it's just a few years away, and we're all going to be driving hydrogen cars and then drinking the ice water that comes out the exhaust. And it's never come true. And every single hydrogen project has been a scam that has wasted public money that governments or states or cities have paid for these hydrogen-powered trams and hydrogen-powered trains and hydrogen. And it's like, just use electricity, mate. If it's on a rail, like it's not, that doesn't have to go down a side street, does it? Just put it electric, just hook it up to the... No, stop it. Stop doing that. Oh, God, they've done the hydrogen thing. Great. Okay, we'll have a look at the hydrogen project for hydrogen trains in Germany went, because it was a bit of a disaster. The technology will never be there because of the inefficiency, which we can never get past. If we can break the laws of thermodynamics, brilliant, fantastic. You know, I'll just drop my phone. I'm all for that, right? If we can do that, if we can break it, brilliant. But if we can't, then it is one of the most inefficient ways of powering life on this planet. is hydrogen. Forget about it. It's a con. And every year you'll go to the Labour Party conference and probably the Lib Dem conference and definitely the Conservative conference, and you will see a massive stand about hydrogen technology. And they've spent a lot of money on it and it looks really fancy, and they have a hydrogen engine, or maybe they have a hydrogen bus, or maybe they have a hydrogen Zeppelin. I don't know. But anyway, it's always bullshit, and it's paid for by the fossil food companies who just want to make coin. Follow the money. Who's paying for this bullshit about carbon capture? Who's paying for this bullshit about carbon offset? Who's telling people that they need to reduce their carbon footprint? Who's coming up with these ideas? It's the fossil fuel companies. It's greenwashing again and again and again. And I'm sick of it. Right, Tim, thank you very much. Why are solar roadways also still a thing? No fixing, stupid. Solar roadways are ridiculous. I mean, they get dirty. Like, one of the problems you have with solar panels is if they get covered in dust, they become less efficient. So you can have a roadway, you're going to have, like, people travelling in cars, and deposits from the rubber from the tyres are going to go onto the roadway. I mean, solar parasols and verandas outside, in car parks. And they're like, brilliant. Bring on the solar veranda revolution. I am all for solar verandas to park your car under, which will keep the rain off it and keep the sun off it. So it's not like baking hot when you get inside, because it'll be in the shade, shady car spots with a solar panel on top. That's great. And you know what? Just do me calculations here. No, it doesn't cost £22 billion. All right? Doesn't cost that much. Gordon says, hydrogen fuel cell have been around for a decade. Toyota Myra is on generation 2. Honda Clarity did not sell well. No, because they just don't work. They're always going to be a prototype. Oh, God, I went out of focus then. Ooh, oh. Or maybe it was my eyes. Stop the Tories. We have a hydrogen train project in the UK converting old BR trains into hydrogen cargo trains. Oh, sorry, I'm going to pick my phone up. Windows will become solar. No need to retrofit. That could happen. Solar roof car park should be a priority. Absolutely, Sonic Shadow, couldn't agree more. And also, charging stations at every car park. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, people are going, okay, there's if you live on a terrace street, we can have gullies. Put a gully in there, right? A little gutter, right? That allows you to plug into your house, and then the cable goes into the gutter, into the gully, right? And then you plug it into your car. We can do that. That is something that councils should be investing in massively, because a lot of people don't have a driveway. They have to park on the road. However, that doesn't always work, because you kind of need permit spaces so that someone else doesn't park in your spot and you can't charge your car. That's not optimal. Or you have to charge it at the person's across the road, which also isn't optimal. But the other thing is, some people live on double yellow lines. Like, they literally cannot park outside their house. And for those people, we need to think of clever solutions in order for them to be able to charge their cars with electricity. The good news is, electricity is everywhere. I know we need to upgrade the grid because there's going to be a lot more power required. However, we can do that. We can also upgrade it with the extra power that we're going to be getting when Dogger Bank, the big wind farm, goes online. But also, like, imagine you go to get your supermarket shop, right? And you stop off and you plug in at that stop. That should give you enough electricity while you're shopping for the week, generally speaking, if you're just going around town for the week. So the possibilities are there. The possibilities are endless, really. But we're not investing in that for some reason. We're investing in carbon capture. Great. Oh, people are investing in me. Thank you very much. They're probably agreeing with me or disagreeing with me feministly. Optimistic Nihilist says they greenwash the reputation while gaslighting us. It's how they retain control, divide, confuse, and conquer. We lack a radical vision for real constructive change that has mass support. Yes, you're right. I think there are radical visions out there, but they just don't have mass support. And then you have idiots like Just Stop Oil, who I think are idiots because they seem to be doing the bidding of the fossil fuel companies by making people like me, who care about the environment and want to change people's minds and open their minds to, other solutions to what we're being force-fed. They make us look like loonies. They make us look like we don't know what we're doing, and they're attacking paintings and they're attacking people rather than going after the people who are actually causing all the problems in the world right now. And when we talk about Just Stop Oil, I'll say this again. I completely understand that they shut down the roads and they say, oh, but we allow ambulances through. And I'm like, oh, well, that's nice. Do you let the buses through that's got someone on that needs to get to the job centre by 3:00, or they lose their benefits for a month? Do you let them through, do you? No? Oh, okay. John, thank you very much for that £10 super chat. The H2 lobby conveniently failed to mention that water vapour acts as a significant greenhouse gas too. No, it doesn't. No, I don't think that's true. If it does, we're screwed because there's a lot of water vapour in the world. Maggie Pie, Swedish krona, thank you very much. More faith in biomethane than I have in hydrogen. Yeah, I mean, but I'd rather not have biomethane. Can we just not have carbon-based fuels? Can we just not have anything with carbon in it going into the atmosphere because it's destroying us? My 2 cents on that. And then we've got George. Also, property owners don't want wind turbines spoiling their views, and no one wants a solar farm in their backyard. I'll have a solar farm in my backyard. I'll have a nuclear reactor in my backyard. Yeah, take that. Charging gully would transform my charging peak glass. Yeah, it should be something that is funded by the council. Like, you call up the council and say, I need a gully cut outside my house for my electric car. And they go, okay. And it's free. It's free. It's just something that they will do if you've got an electric car to encourage people to have electric cars. And this 22 billion, right? They should have spent that on subsidies for electric cars. And I know electric cars are not a panacea. They're really not. They still have the same problems, a lot of the same problems that petrol cars do. But even taking lithium mining and all that into account, the amount of energy required to put the energy in the vehicle is so much more when it's a fossil fuel. Because like I said earlier, you've got to get it all the way from Nigeria to here. That uses fossil fuel. You've got to pump it out of the ground. It uses fossil fuel. You've got to distillate it, fractal distillation. You need to refine it. That takes more energy. You've got to get it to the petrol station. That takes more energy. You've got to store it at the petrol station. That takes more energy. You can pump it out the energy. And petrol out at the petrol station. And you've also got to drive your car to the petrol station. Like, if we can take internal combustion engine cars out of the equation, that 400 million tons of CO2 that we are putting into the atmosphere every year will go down. And I hate it when people say, and thank you for not anyone that I've noticed has said this, but what's China doing? Why isn't China doing something about it? And like, is that it now? Is that how we measure our state, standing in the world? And we're not going to do it because literally a dictatorship on the other side of the planet isn't doing it. So what? We can lead the world in this. We don't have to follow China. Is that what you want? You want us to wait till China does something and then we'll follow along in its coattails? No. We can lead. We can really lead the world on this. And we are in a prime position. One of the most remarkable things about New Zealand is that over 90% of its energy that is created is renewable. 90%. And has been for years. Why? Geography, my friends, geography. They have volcanoes. And volcanoes are good for two things. Forging magical rings and destroying magical rings. But also, they're very good for powering making electricity by using geothermic power. Same thing they do in Iceland. A lot of the power comes from geothermic plants. So they are blessed by geography in that respect. They also have earthquakes and volcanoes and things, which is not so good. But they can get close to the magma, which isn't going to run out anytime soon. Right, the UK is also blessed by geography, but we don't have any volcanoes. Thank heavens. So we don't have many earthquakes and things like that. We have little ones. We have wind. We have so much wind. Not just the hot air coming out of all our politicians, but we have so much wind here. Just tap into that. Tap into that. And if you've got 22 million to spare, spend it on battery technology, storage technology, water pumping technology to pump water up a hill, put it in a reservoir, and then when you don't have enough electricity, you open the sluice gates, let the water come down, and you make power from that water. So when you've got too much electricity, water go up. When you've got too little, water come down, turns the turbines, makes electricity. I know that's really simplified. I know it's more complicated than that. However, that's a simple solution to making a battery that can power an entire town. Battery. It's not a battery. It's water. Water, gravity. Hello. Awesome. Anyway, moving on. George, the solar farm in North Yorks is being held up by a company who are objecting to the plans. Names in company's house include Lady Rees-Smog. Oh, that's interesting, Simon Smith. Thank you for that. I needed lithium for my lithium medication, one of 4 mental health medications I need to be on, says Ivan. Yes, lithium is prescribed for mental health, isn't it? That's why there is a Nirvana song called Lithium. Stephanie says, loft those panels are sealed. Torbay has some really ignorant people who need replacing. No, don't replace the solar panels, replace the people. Can't let perfect be the enemy of the good, says Stop the Tories. Yes, but this isn't striving for perfection. This is just a really, really inefficient way of spending money, a really inefficient way of stopping climate change, a really inefficient way of stopping carbon going into the atmosphere. Like the fact that we closed the last coal-fired power station this week wasn't because of carbon capture technology. It just wasn't. We're going to quickly look at the papers now because I realise I've gone over time. I'm vexed. You can tell I'm vexed this morning because I'm like, how can you be so stupid? But yeah, anyway, Financial Times. Oil surges after Biden remarks over possible attack on Iran. That means the oil price is going to go up. Hurrah! And also there's a picture there of the beautiful Diego Garcia atoll. Historic accord. Britain returns sovereignty of Chagos Islands to Mauritius, but keeps outposts. So Diego Garcia is still going to be a military base, and the Chagosans won't be able to move back there. But step in the right direction. I was going to do the show this morning about this because it's part of my, I'm quite interested in the geography of the world and the remnants of the British Empire, and this is very much a remnant of that empire. It was basically stolen from Mauritius in the 1960s. We gave Mauritius their independence. Oh, that was nice, wasn't it? We said, no, but we're keeping these islands over here. I'm going to put a military base on them. Gary, thank you very much for the £10 super chat, my friend. That is very, very kind of you. About to collect my EV for the 5th time, having broken down 2 years old and 6 months in dealership. Still rather that than petrol, diesel, or hydrogen. Well, Gary, awesome that you've got an EV. It's a bit shit that it's broken down 5 times. It's a software problem. Let me know in the chat. Or a mechanical problem, because one of the beautiful things about EVs is they're dead simple. They don't have an alternator or dizzy cap. They don't have pistons. They don't have a carburetor. Not that we have carburetors anymore, but the older cars do. They don't need a lead battery in them to get them started. They don't have a radiator. They don't have, there's so many things that you don't have to have in an electric car because electric motors are really, really simple. It's just a magnetic coil with electricity going through it. But yes, anyway. Nice. Diego Garcia could be used by the MDen again if necessary. Says Jupp. Stephanie's saying the last 2 taxis I had were electric. Very nice that the taxi drivers are working out how cheap they are to run. They are incredibly cheap. Like, I can't stress this enough. If you are on a smart tariff from Octopus Energy, and I know that smart meters are shit and they don't always work, but if you are, you can charge your electric car, up to like 100%, which I know you're not supposed to do, but if you're going on a particularly long journey, for about £3.50. £3.50! And that'll get you over 200 miles. 200 pounds. Oh my God. Anyway, moving on. PM defies US to cede Chagos. That's not really true. That's what the Tories and obviously Murdoch, it's a Murdoch rag, are trying to get people to believe. The Americans were for this. So there you go. Strike oil, not nuclear. Biden urges Israel. Bloody hell. MPs week away from free vote on assisted dying legislation. This is being brought forward by Kim Ledbetter MP, who is the sister of Joe Cox. And she's bringing forward this legislation, which hopefully will mean that, the MPs will vote for it. So again, it's on the front cover of The Guardian here. MPs to be given historic vote on the legalisation of assisted dying. We've got this 22 billion for UK carbon capture schemes. That's what I've been going on about this morning. We've also got Biden hints at Israeli plan to hit Iranian oil industry, which means that that's going to cause trouble there as well. And then Beyonce, for some reason, on the Mirror. And I can't imagine reasons, or 2 of them, why she might be on the front cover. Amazing 16-year-old Liz on making special memories with Kate. This is a 16-year-old who is being diagnosed with a very rare and aggressive form of cancer, who got to meet Princess Kate, who's also suffering cancer at the moment. Estevanson here. I never thought I'd be alive to see the law change, but perhaps I will. This is to do with the Assisted Dying Act, which I agree with, because it's my body and I should be able to decide what to do with it, and I don't want to suffer unnecessarily. Stop the suffering, you know? Why has my dog got more rights than me when it comes to this? Why has my cat got more? Why has my hamster got more autonomy over its body than I do? You know, like, I'm sure if the hamster could talk, it would say, please, I don't want to be in pain for the next 6 months unnecessarily when I'm going to die anyway. But there you go. The Chagos Islands have belonged to Britain since 1814. And include strategically vital Diego Garcia military base, which is staying there. Yesterday, for 99 years, by the way, 99 years, okay? Yesterday, in a deal condemned as shameful and disgraceful capitulation by the Tories, Labour agreed to hand them to Mauritius, which lies 1,300 miles away and is a loyal ally of China. What absolute bollocks. Do they speak Chinese in Mauritius? Do they? Do they speak Chinese? No, they fucking well don't. They speak English and French, okay? They speak English and French. They don't speak Chinese. They have a historic connection to Britain. If you've ever been there, if you've ever bothered to spend time there, go to the Stamp Museum where you can see the most expensive stamp in the world, the Mauritius penny red, I think it is, or penny blue, I don't know, one of the two. You will find out that the people of Mauritius are very Anglophile. They're very Francophile. They like us. But they didn't like the fact that we stole a load of islands off them. And this thing is like, oh, well, it's 1,300 miles away. How far is it from the UK? How far? Sorry for shouting. Oh my God, Daily Mail. What? Are you all right? Are you okay, hon? Do you know it's much further away from the UK? The Diego Garcia military base is staying there and is going to be leased for 99 years. That is part of the plan. Starmer surrender. Go fuck yourself, Daily Mail. God, you're annoying. UK, there we go. Johnson, UK needs referendum on ECHR. The Daily Telegraph, another disgusting rag. No, piss off. Disgraced PM. Who forced women to have his abortions, says that we need to leave the human rights behind. We don't need a convention on human rights. Well, he doesn't because he's very rich. Rich people don't need that kind of thing. Brace yourself, Bezzy. A huge solar flare could send phones and Wi-Fi bonkers. That's tonight, I think. We're going to see some aurora borealis, hopefully, if you've got clear skies. Poison jab murder, plot by Doctor in Disguise. And this very scary picture for Smile too. We've also got energy price scare after Biden says Israel could attack Iran's oil. And then we've got yesterday's newspapers, which you do not need to see. Right, back to me. And subscribe. Anyway, so I've gone way over time. And obviously I'm going to be back here at 1 o'clock with Phil. So I'll zip off now. I just wanted to go through a couple of things in the chat. Oh, my mum's there. Hi, Mum. Sorry for swearing. Hi, Mum. Chuck James Graham, if you didn't want to know about Mden and Diego Garcia, you should look it up. A German captain in World War I getting resupplied with coal by a British outpost. Oh, my God. I'll have to look that up. One of my dogs has an EU passport. Well, yeah, BUFU, Mike. Don't get me started on passports. The Tories have started the handback of Chagos. Odds they're against it now. Yep. The negotiations started under the Tories. Mauritius has a large Chinese population, but Graham is 100%. It's very Anglo-Francophile place. It is. They speak English, but all the newspapers are in French. It's a very strange place. It's an awesome place. Honestly, if you get a chance to go to Mauritius, I can't recommend it enough. It's really cool. Ivan, when you go there, I don't know if they still do this. When you go there, you get a passport stamp. It's my favourite passport stamp in all of my passports is my one from Mauritius, because it's got a little dodo on it. It's got a little dodo on the stamp. It's so cute. Anyway, Ivan, thank you very much for the super chat, mate. Boris Johnson literally makes my PTSD symptoms flare up. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry that he appeared on the cover of that bloody paper spouting his bollocks. I just wish he would just fuck off forever. I would live a very, very happy life, even if everything else went wrong. But I knew that I would never have to gaze upon the faces of Trump, Boris Johnson, Nigel Farage, or Russell Brand ever again. I'd live in a fucking cave. I'm sorry for swearing. I'm getting really annoyed today. Tory, Graf and Heil are back and form, I see. Circulation still dropping, same rate as readers are falling off their perches. Have a great day, y'all. Thanks very much. Live long and prosper. That's Howard Risby. Okay, so... Maggie Pie says, unpopular opinion, I still think that carbon capture technology has a place. We might discuss it later, Maggie Pie, because we've got to go. I might have a big row with Wayne later on the Politics Social at 9:30. Anyway, look, I'll see you hopefully then. If preferably, I might see you at 1:00 for the agenda when me and Phil are going to be rounding up the news of the week. We're going to be talking about the Tory Party conference. So if you want to subject yourself to that, there will be jokes. I promise there will be jokes. There will be levity. Oh my God, what a disaster that was. So take care of yourselves. Thank you very much for the chat. Thanks for the super chats. Give us a like. Don't forget to give likes. It's always good. Feed the algo. And until next time, I'll say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.